Hello, family and friends. Welcome to another live broadcast of Oriyomi Solomon Adeomi. Happy Father's Day to all fathers out there. Your efforts over your children, over your adopted children, over the children in which you are father figure in their life will be rewarded by the power that raised Jesus Christ from the dead. You will not labor in vain. Happy Father's Day to you all. What will I be doing today? Just think, okay, I could share one or two experiences of mine, and probably one or two people might be going through similar situation. Pick one or two things therein. Either you are a father now, or you are intended father, or you are in a father figure. Yeah, your effort is really appreciated. To start with, who is a father? What are the characteristics? What are the features? What are the expectations of a father? Why are the fathers of an untold vulnerable species? What could make them vulnerable? And if you are a vulnerable father, how do you get past it? How do you go forward, moving forward in life? These are the things I will discuss here within a short while, and we'll wrap it up for today. A father is a male parent. Generally speaking, a male parent of a child. Then it can also be defined as someone that functions in that particular role. That means it may be that you are not biologically related to the child in question. Or we can also define father as someone that play a supervisory role, or someone that plays a supervisory role over you, or someone that show you the path to go through. And father function in diverse ways. And a father role is one of the roles that is highly competitive, that can easily become replaced by people that are not even biologically related to you, or who are not your father in terms of biogeny. In that regard, father role is a role that is highly competitive, in the sense that in our society today is a role that even someone that is not meant to function in that role can just wake up and assume that and say they want to function in that role. And in such cases, you see the pattern in which things ought to follow being degenerated, and the outcome is you have a dysfunctionality in what is being done. What are the things that makes fathers very vulnerable in our society today? The society places high responsibility and expectation on fathers, and without taking into consideration that they are human beings as well, and as such they are born to make mistakes. They have feelings, they have emotions, they have expectation, they have needs. But the society we find ourselves today wants a father to function in his role perfectly well, without anyone looking after them as well. Oh, you said, Oriyomi, what are you saying? I'm sure you've heard it out there. The complete suicide rate. When we talk about complete suicide rate, that is not just only having intention to commit a suicide, that is, you intended to do it, you planned to do it, and you completely executed it. It's more rampant among fathers, among male gender. So if you see that, if you take a look at that, maybe you can do a research, just Google it, suicide rate among the genders, and you will see that suicide rate is more common among the male gender more than the female gender. Oh, you said Oriyomi, is that true? You can just check it out at your spare time. And if suicide rates is common and is higher rather in the male gender, that's to let you see that this gender have unmet need. Oh, you said Oriyomi, what are you saying? If their need are met, nobody in his right sense want to take their own life. Oh, you said Oriyomi, how? The pressures of this world, the pressures of our society today is so much on the fathers without anybody looking after their mental health, without anybody looking after their physical well-being. And if you are so unlucky, like some fathers out there, and you chose a wrong woman to be the mothers of your children, wow, then you will understand perfectly well what it means to really be a father and how vulnerable you are. You know, recently I was reading an article and I read about a man that was sentenced to life imprisonment, courtesy testimony that were given by his so-called wife. And the woman did that because they have a troublesome divorce. And the woman could not let go and just had an information that her ex-husband just eats a jackpot, and in order to pay back, to settle a score, she decided to frame the man up and even testified against the man in the court of law, and the man was sentenced to life imprisonment because they believed that his wife will be an arbiter, will be someone that is expected not to give a false witness against him. And several years in the prison, he was bailed. Eventually he was let out because of some thing that were put in place by some group of organization, but not without him being through a lot. And the day he was released, eventually that the ruling was done, the woman opened up and said she is sorry. She did what she did in order to pay back the man for their troublesome, for their forceful divorce, and because of what she heard about it. And for those years that the man was in prison, his children, he even also already had grandchildren that they never have access to him. Their mother has told them negative story about their father, which are not true, which several years have passed before the truth can be unveiled. And the man looked and said, what do we do? In that situation, if you were the man, what will you do? I'm sure you know. Those children now, they were not allowed, they were denied access to enjoy their father, courtesy their mother, because their mother decided not to let go of her own pain and decided to be rubbing it off on the children. And do you know what? The society we have today easily will believe a woman more than a man. And as such, if anything goes wrong between a man and a woman, and you have a child or children caught in between them, more often than not, that father will pay through his nose, either emotionally, physically, name it, to be able to have a say in the life of his children. Because generally speaking, when the children are underage, the society made it such that they go with the woman, and as such, those women makes life miserable for the male counterparts of their children. And by doing such, they think they are actually robbing that man of his fatherhood, because they claim they can do things on their own. But in the real sense of it, you are not robbing the man of his fatherhood. You are only robbing your children, because God has made it in such a way that you should have a father and a mother. He didn't make a mistake. If he believes a woman can function in that role perfectly well, then there is no place for a father. And if you have issue with your partner, with your male partner, such that you have to go your separate way, or you don't have to stay under the same roof, the best thing you can do is to not rob him the ability to function perfectly well in the life of his children as a father. Even though you might call him stupid, you might say all manner of things that is not right, and that you yourself, deep down within you, know is not right. You know they are not true, they are twisted stories. And because you just want people, the society that had already seen the man as an incapable person, to just rub it off more on them, you are still doing that. You are not actually robbing them. You are robbing your children, because those children will be dysfunctional no matter how hard you try. The only way you can do it in which you will raise children that are not dysfunctional, when you are depriving them access to their father because of things that have gone wrong between you and them, is make sure you take your own time to heal. When you heal, even though things has gone wrong between you and the father of your children, the best you can do is to make sure you create an atmosphere that will allow the man to function in his children's life. Oh, you said, Oriyomi, you don't understand. There are some fathers out there that they are not supposed to be at close range with their children. Maybe you were wrong. I don't really think any man that father a child, if given an ambient, appropriate atmosphere, will be a danger to his children. Oh, you say, Oriyomi, how do you know? I'm sure if you go on social media now, if you take your time to read, you will see there are lots of articles that initially we thought the male counterparts are the ones that are actually perpetuating the evil. But a few years down the line, either because the women become born again, or they have some issues of life that make them to have truth staring at them, they come out at the end to come and say, wow, the story we initially told wasn't the way it was. But because they are in pain and they want the man to pay for what he hasn't done, or what is not really true, or to pay for what they believe that does not suit them properly, that's why they frame such thing up. And years down the line, many things would have been damaged. So the best thing you can do for yourself as a mother is, if you truly, genuinely know that what you are saying is not true, it's not a true reflection of what happened, it's not the real person this man in question is, create an ambience in which he can interact with his children, and let him play his father figure in the life of his children, such that you will not continue to breed are dysfunctional children. Oh, you said, Oriyomi, how is it that men are vulnerable species? Do you know, I could perfectly remember some months ago, and I was reading an article, and when I started reading the article, I can say perfectly, I said, this is a woman's story. There is other side of this story that is not being told. And do you know what? It happens that I was absolutely correct. But how was I able to figure that out? You know, if you have never been in someone's shoe, it might be very difficult for you to perfectly understand what men actually go through in the society. A man wants to stay in the life of his children, but you are so unlucky to have as a mother for that particular children a toxic woman. And do you know what? Those toxic women find it difficult to believe that they are really toxic. They say, oh, I carried the baby for 9 months in my womb. Do you know why you carried that baby for 9 months in your womb? You deliver the baby. But do you know what? That womb, that baby, that child, those children, you are separating from their father, that you don't want them to have access to their father. You are actually not punishing only the father. You are punishing the children as well. And do you know, those children, the fathers carry those children in their brain every now and then. And the emotional trauma they go through to be able to perform or do one or two things for their children is untold. Oh, you said, Oriyomi, how do you know that? Generally speaking, in our society today, nobody will believe a man. Before you will see a man that will say a story that this is the way it happened in something that didn't go down well in a relationship with an opposite sex, it's very difficult. They would have believed a woman 200 times before they would even get to listen to a man. So, and women know that. So when things go wrong or things doesn't rub off on their ego, the next thing they do is nobody is going to believe you. And because they know that for a man to be believed that what he's saying is actually the truth, many things would have gone wrong, or a whole lot of things would have gone on their side, or the things would have gone the way they actually wanted it to turn. And as such, because you know, sometimes we say they are men, they need to function as a man, they need to bottle in a whole lot of emotion, they need to bottle in a whole lot of pain. And as such, a man may not even willingly want to speak about the abuse they are passing through in their relationship, in their home. And because they know, they're like, if I even talk about it today, who is going to believe me? And as such, they stomach it in, and the world out there make it look as if they don't love their children. Take for instance, I have 3 daughters that I have not seen in about how many months now. I've made several efforts to reunite back to my children. And do you know what their mother is saying? All manner of stupid story that is so dirty to even hear in the hair. And one day I sat down and asked myself, I said, have you make efforts now to tell your children that their father is making efforts to reunite back with them, but you are the one blocking it? And I paused. And do you know what? I know what the answer is. I'm sure you yourself on the other side of the screen now, you know what the answer is. And if they could boldly come out and say, okay, we nothing has gone wrong between us, and as such, we are still the one blocking you from having access to your children. You know, it would have been very easy for a man. But they block access to the children because they know, okay, The society will actually make the children to be with them. Or for you to be able to even have access to your children, you have to be paying for lawyer fees, you have to be paying for court fee, you have to be getting court order to see your own children. Ask me. A man that is passing through this kind of experience, please ask yourself, is he not vulnerable? Oh, you said Oriyomi. What does it even mean to be vulnerable? To be vulnerable means you are at risk of physical, emotional, or financial abuse. Oh, you said Oriyomi. Are men truly vulnerable in respect of this you have defined now? Probably you are lucky to have a good woman in your life. That's why you are finding it difficult to understand. You know, no matter how hard a story is being told, if you have never passed through that pathway before, you find it difficult to believe. You know, I never knew how rampant is it until I was a victim of this as well. I belong to, there is a group I follow on my Facebook page, and it's called the Unmarried Fathers. And I read a whole lot about the atrocity that a woman or women are perpetuated to the fellow man, the father of their children. And each time I read any of the articles on that, I said, and this our society will say men are not endangered, women are the ones that are endangered. You know, like the story I shared earlier on in the early part of this video, for those years that man was in prison, nobody would believe the man was innocent. But because a woman just want to pay back, a woman just want to let the man suffer for what he hasn't really done. And that's why the man is suffering for what he's passing through. And do you know what? Men pass through a whole lot of pain. And because we were raised in a way that you are expected to not speak of your pain. And as such, a whole lot of men have gone beyond now that have no business on being on the other side of the eternity now, but courtesy the woman they have chosen to be in their life as either a wife or a partner or the rest. And you know what? You say, Oriyomi, are men really vulnerable species? The answer is yes. And you as a woman out there, if you have a brother, you have a male child, I'm happy to tell you that you are setting the template. If you think what goes around will not come around, only the future will tell. You know, the Bible says something in the book of Jeremiah chapter number 5 verse 25. I love that scripture so much. It says, so many bad things that ought not to happen to you happens to you because you indulge in sin. Sin in that regard means you have allowed to happen what is not appropriate, what is not expected, what is not good, what does not proclaim good to the other person. And if you do it and you are not repentant of it, sure, I'm happy to tell you, a time will tell. You understand? So if you have a male partner, you have a male child, or you have a husband, the best you can do for them is to create an ambient for them to be able to function appropriately in the capacity in which they can function. You know, recently, one of my friends shared this story with me, and I paused. I said, well, it will be very difficult for such a man to actually prove the validity and prove that he is innocent with the experience you have just narrated now, because the society believe that men are the perpetrator of any form of abuse, evil, unbecoming occurrence in the house or in the society. But to be candid, could remember on NSPPD recently there was one woman that was sharing her life experience, how a woman was the one perpetrating sexual abuse to another fellow woman, to a girl child in the house. But generally speaking, the society just believe that, oh, it's only a male counterpart that can sexually abuse the underage, or they can do something to unbecoming to a child or to a fellow person, because they believe, oh, as a male they have muscle, they have macho, they have the tendency to do that. But that people have tendency to do something doesn't mean they actually do it. But do you know what? The people that don't even seems to have the tendency to perpetrate evil are the one perpetrating it, because they know that it will be very difficult for them to be caught, and even if they were caught, it will be very easy for the society to say, oh, it's not likely this happened that way. So as such toxic women hide under that and perpetrate a lot of evil. Recently, my partner shared one story with me, and she said, oh, there was one woman that lied about her husband, that the husband was sleeping with the children, the female children, and it turned out to be that it was actually a lie. It never happened. And that man goes for years with that lie, to the extent that the children did not have access they should have had with their father, because their mother told them a negative story that didn't really happen. And look at such a man now. Are you telling me that man is not vulnerable? Can you see the amount of abuse he has experienced in life? And for years, he was deprived of access to his children. And do you know what? A whole lot of similar occurrences happens right there and then now all over the world today, that make it even difficult for any man that you see now to want to say they want to venture into any relationship that will lead to having a child with women, because they are so afraid, they are so scared of what would the outcome be. Because we sometimes, not all the women this time around, but not all the women, some women out there, even before they come into relationship with you, they are coming with business orientation, that if you are very careless, or you are so vulnerable, you are so open, and you don't be on the guard, you have a child with them, you have automatically become a business empire for them. And if you are so unlucky, you are in United States of America, where the law favor the women much more in terms of child support and the rest, and you are so unlucky, you will then understand how vulnerable a man can be when you have a child that you want to function in their life, in the life of your children as a father. And you know what? Because it's very easy for a woman to claim she's a single mother and get so many help from the society, from people that she would tell twisted story. People will pity her. They will say, wow, the man abandoned his children and ran away. But you know what? A woman will most likely say so many things that are not valid, just to tarnish the image of the male counterpart, just to tarnish the image of the father of their children. But they will not take a look at the aftermath of their decision making. They will not take a look at the aftermath of the conversation they are having. They will not take a look at the aftermath of the damage they are causing to that man. And do you know what? You know, I'm sure you've heard it before, that women are being ruled by their emotion. They are led by their emotion. When their emotion is speaking into them, they just want to do that spontaneously without even taking a look at the aftermath and consider that this man I'm doing this to is also somebody's child, somebody's brother, somebody's son, and what goes around comes around. To men out there, we know you are vulnerable. I've heard several cases of a woman beating up the man in the house, in the relationship, and they will even pretend that it is the man that is beating them up. I've seen a whole lot of, if you are very conversant with social media, I'm sure you would have seen it, that a whole lot of men, because they could not tame their emotion, they could not let go, because of the investment they have put into a woman, the trust they built, believing the woman has a good intention, but later on things turn sour and they are not ready, they are not able to let go. They done a whole lot of havoc when they could not actually tame their emotion to women. I'm sure you've seen a whole lot of atrocity being committed here and there. And the question I ask myself is, before it gets to this stage, can't you let go? Can't you forgive? Where is the place of forgiveness? But you know what? It's very easy for men to forgive, but do women forgive? Maybe you can watch my video. There was one video I dropped on my TikTok page recently. It said women are very vindictive, and that's the truth. A man will let go, but a woman will not let go. She will not even let go to the point that she will be depriving herself, thinking she's depriving the man. Men, you know you are vulnerable. The society doesn't even want to hear your voice. When you speak, nobody is listening. When you speak, no one believes you. If anyone has never been in your shoe before, they will not be able to perfectly understand that you are actually vulnerable. You know, one of the greatest things, one of the worst sentences I've ever read in my life in the last couple of years now is that I saw it recently on an article, and it makes sense to me when I read it during the interview I had after I was arrested in United Kingdom. You know, during the interview, my wife said she wants my children to learn how to stay without their father at home. And when I read that article recently, about somebody wrote and said, a woman will say, the father abandoned their children, but she will never mention how difficult she is to stay with. And I paused. I said, how true this is. You can see how vulnerable we could be. You can see it's the story I just shared now. Do you know, when I read that report and I paused, I asked myself, I said, who on earth, what kind of a mother or what kind of a woman say this when you know in the real sense of it, truly, that man was not whom you are portraying him to be. But do you know what? No matter how sweet your story is, you know, I said something recently. I said, your listener know where you stand. Only they may not be able to tell you because of the prevailing circumstances. You can see that my video, I dropped it on my TikTok page. Do you know, after the whole reports, research, investigation, everything ended, the social services said one thing before they left. They said, the children are actually safe with Oriyomi. And there is no problem, that they've looked right, back, forth, they've seen those children in the custody of Oriyomi and they are actually safe. But do you know, when she was saying the story then, before it was being investigated, anybody that hear her story will believe, oh, the children are at risk, this, that. And do you know what? Most women out there know the moment they say their children, their world is at risk with a man, society will just flag such a man, raise it a red flag, and want to do everything possible to protect such a child or such children. And if the man is so unlucky, he may go down the drain for such. Oh, you said, Oriyomi, are men really vulnerable? Yes. A man will do everything possible to make sure he put food on the table for his children. But nobody is even asking the man, please, have you eaten today? How are you coping? How are you coping financially? They're just expecting him to provide for the children, which is expected of us. But in the real sense of it, is it not supposed to be a partnership? You provide, I provide. But you want me to provide my own while you keep your own, use your own to sustain whatsoever is best for you. And when I don't provide enough, the story you are talking about is, oh, he abandoned his children, he's an infidel man, he can't provide for his family. The question you should ask yourself is this: is it really true? Is what you are saying true? Are you sure this you're saying is not endangering this person? You know, men are wild in such that you might think words doesn't go down hurt us, or what you say does not have any impact on us. It's just a words of mouth. I'm happy to tell you you are wrong. When a man is with a woman that can encourage them, bring out the best in them, provide the ambient for them, you will see how much more they can do. But when you are so unlucky to be in a relationship in which the woman is just self-centered, toxic, then you will know what it is really entails to be a father. And you are trying your best, you are struggling, you are doing everything humanly possible to make end meet for your children, for your life, for yourself, but someone is right there undermining you. Well, to the vulnerable one out there, no matter how hard they try to portray it, make it look as if you are not vulnerable, if you are indeed vulnerable, you are at least you've been through a lot, because you don't want to let go of your children, you want to be in their life. Please keep the good fight of faith. One day, that your toxic partner, that your unreasonable partner will look back and said they are sorry for what they have done. But before that day comes, you really need to start preparing yourself. You need to stay in the life of your children, even though you can't stay in their life physically now. Do you know you can actually stay in their life spiritually? Maybe you can watch my video that I titled raising a child with the right concept of life. That will really bless you a lot. If you are so unfortunate as a man to have been in a relationship that is toxic or that is undermining your ability to function properly in the life of your children, you can actually pray into their life. You can pray into their future. You can pray into your own self such that you are properly healed. Such that when you are being reunited back to your children, they are not going to be nurturing the wound that has been created in you yourself, and you have been able to eat properly and have a better outlook to life and turn everything around. You know, I love this reference of the Bible so much. I will share that today, and then maybe I will stop. If you read the book of Genesis chapter number 50 verse 20, Joseph, I love his encounter so much. God saying, where every bad thing that you have done for me, where they are in the past, I don't see them as bad again. You meant them for evil, but God meant them for good, using this to prepare you for the task ahead. And I'm happy to tell you, father out there that you don't have access to your children. I know this video may not be applicable to everyone. There are some fathers out there, they are enjoying their life. They are enjoying access to their children. They don't have to go to court to see their children. They don't have to get court order. They don't have to pay unnecessary money. They don't have to enrich a woman because they father a child. So you may not be the one that this video is applicable to. But if this video is applicable to you, I'm happy to tell you, keep up the good fight of faith. Do you understand? Don't give up on your children. They are, have it at the back of your mind. Your children are 50% yours. Are 50% your partner, your wife, your ex-wife, your divorced wife, you just name it, the other female parents of your child. And do you know what? I wrote something recently on my Facebook page. I said, you can only genuinely love your children if you love their other partner or their other parents. So whatsoever life might have thrown at you, however you have been vulnerable, that people don't even get to see, they don't get to believe you, let go. Do you understand? Let go of your pain. Take a time to heal of the pain that has been caused to you, the damage that has been caused to you. You know, I said something recently. I said, when you relate so long with people, they will hurt you. Everybody will hurt you. In fact, if you relate with this Oriyomi, I'm happy to tell you, as a human being, I will hurt you. But you get to a point whereby you will pick what is important. Is it the person you are relating with or the hurt they have caused you? So if you understand that perfectly well, and you let go of the hurt, you will be able to heal yourself personally, that when you reunite back to your children, and I'm sure that day is coming, you will reunite back with them. They will see. But if you yourself now, because of the pain you are going through, because of your vulnerability, you don't take time to work on yourself, when your children get back to reunite with you, you will just be validating what is not true. And you know what? You will not be happy. So I'm happy to tell you that work on yourself. We know you are untold vulnerable species. People like us that have passed through your shoe, we know what you are saying. We know that it might be difficult for people out there to believe you. You know, I remember one of the statements I remember my partner said sometimes ago. I'm forgiving, I'm not holding back that again. I've gone past that. Was when we were having issue. She mentioned it. She said, you know, Oriyomi, I know where you are coming from. I know your background. I know your story. And you know, if you missed it with me now, nobody is going to believe you. And even though I don't know the context in which she probably said that, even though she might say, oh, she just said it out of anger or what, but that word goes a long way in orchestrating so many things in me that it took me a while to be able to get past it. So what am I trying to tell you with that? Even though people might have hurt you, they must have said things to you, a father that is undermining your ability to function as a father, let go, forgive, move on, work on yourself, heal, such that when you are placed in the capacity to discharge and function as a father, you will not be validating what is not true, and you will have been able to function appropriately in the life of your child, your life of your children, the life of the children you function in a father figure upon. And do you know what? I'm happy to tell you, do you know you are even expected to be a father to that woman as well? He said, oh, Oriyomi, what are you saying? Do you remember? Let me just give you this scenario so that you will know. And you know why there is the stake on you as a father is a very high stake. See this chair I'm sitting on? I will not forget this chair. God has won a lot of battle for me, and this chair in the place of my prayer. That's what I'm saying, that you should pray for your children. And you know, when a woman wants to get married, a father will bring her in. Another man is waiting there to have an exchange. You know, the Bible says, so shall a man leave his father's house. A woman doesn't leave a father. There is just only a transfer of fatherhood from the one that raised the woman up from the beginning to the one that will take over as a spouse, as a partner, as a wife, as a mother to his children for you. So if you have that at the back of your mind, I'm sure you will have a better outlook to your vulnerability, and you will turn your vulnerability into a blessing. You know, it's your choice. Yes, it's your choice. Have it at the back of your mind. You are not doing it only because of the woman. You are not enduring what you are enduring because of the woman. Do your best that when you look back, you won't have many things to regret that you didn't play appropriately the role you are supposed to have played in the life of your children, people that are entrusted into your hand, the people you are father, and you will be happy with yourself. You have done your best. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. I know there are vulnerable fathers out there, even though the society might find it difficult to believe we are vulnerable. Yeah, we are vulnerable. We need your support, women. You know, that's what God said when he created Adam in the Garden of Eden. He created Adam, put him in the Garden of Eden, and he said it's not good for a man to be alone. And that's why you came. And you functioning in that capacity. If you are not functioning in that capacity, what? And do you know what? Don't compete for a role you are not meant for. That will also undermine the vulnerability of a father. You are a mother, you are meant to nurture, you are meant to support. But when you start competing for a role you are not meant for, the children are looking at you. And do you know what? I'm sure you as a person, you have a child. You see the way they grow, mimic, display everything you are displaying in the house. So if you don't want your children to display what you are passing through now in days to come, work on yourself. Otherwise, they will start displaying it in days to come, and you will look back and it will be too late. You know, I wrote something recently on my Facebook page. I said, dysfunctional, a failing generation is a manifestation of ignoramus parents. So if you see a generation that is failing, it's just an indication that people that ought to mold their life appropriately were not doing that, and they are focusing on pain when they're supposed to be doing good work. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. You are an hero, either spoken or unspoken one. Continue to fight the good fight of faith. Work on yourself for you to be able to function properly in the life of your children. You know, I remember what the Holy Spirit told me May 22, 2022. He said, Oriyomi, we will see how much of a fatherhood you can display in daunting situations. And you know, that word had never left me. That's ordered most of my decision making, my steps, retracing my step, doing my best to make sure I do what is appropriate for my children. I wish you the very best in life, and I pray the Lord will grant you the capacity, the willpower, the wisdom, and the ability to cope with these women. You know, the Bible says in the book of 1 Peter chapter number 3 verse 7, it says you should pray to have understanding to deal with men, to deal with women. Pardon me. So you really need that. Otherwise, your vulnerability will cause more damage, and what you are passing through, it will be transferring the annoyance, the anger, the frustration on your children who are actually innocent. I wish you the very best, and I pray the Lord will give you understanding, quicken you to be able to function appropriately in the life of your children. Happy Father's Day to all fathers out there. The Lord will give you more capacity, more wisdom on how to function in the life of your children, erasing all the scars that have been created in them and not propagating it. Thank you, and I say stay blessed. Happy Father's Day.